our lives, Father. Oh, we sing your praise every day of our lives.
What's up, guys? Marcellus Williams, aka TheSwolefessor, Education on Health and Social Wellbeing. Welcome to episode 4 of Get It Done, the prep series for Powerlifting American Nationals, where my goal is to come in and hit a 1,600 pound plus total. And we're starting today's video off a little bit differently because we're starting today's video off with a review. And that's kind of sort of be the first part of this video. I'm gonna review this product that was sent to me, test it out in today's session. I'm gonna take you guys through today's session, and then kind of give my thoughts over it overall. And then the rest of the video will just kind of be the usual flow of whatever I want to show you guys as far as my training. But right now, it's week 1 of the final block, building into nationals. We're a little bit under 3 weeks out now. We were 3 weeks out from this past Friday. And honestly, things went really, really well. Post the last video you guys saw, post that week for SBD, my lower back, my rectors were smoked, especially like my QL area on the left side. And I was just being super aggressive with moving and rehabbing. I was doubling my steps, so I was getting 20K plus steps a day. Making sure I was letting my lower back go into flexion extension periodically throughout the day with different drills, like letting my back curl into flexion, staying back up in extension, single leg, RDLs. What else was I doing? Like Russian twists, just all types of stuff where I was just forcing my back to move more and more and more. And it helped. It helped a lot. Like I said, I knew I wasn't injured. There's just a lot of built up tension. And then because I had to do every day a day early after the SBD session to get lined up with starting the new block this past Friday, I had to do everything a day early. So I had to do my secondary squat and deadlift day a day early. So it was just feeling really beat. But as I continued to stay on top of my steps and my movement and get throughout the rest of the week, I was good to go. So I'm really, really happy just as far as, that, because this past Friday was week 1 of the block, day 1 of week 1 of the block, and everything went well. Everything went fine. I hit like 440 on squat for my top double, 523, I believe, for my deadlift single, and then 347 for my 2 bench singles. Not even going to show it. It was smooth. It was easy. If you follow me on Instagram, you got to see it. If not, it's all good. But yeah, so we're off to a really good start. Today is day 3 because my day 2 was Sunday, yesterday, the close grip bench work upper body day. Today, you guys already know it's a secondary squat, secondary deadlift, and tertiary bench day. So I've got all 3 lifts today, which is perfect because what we're going to be trying out today is going to be, let me make sure I got the name right. Yeah, the Ironhold Pro shoe. That's what was sent to me. And this was sent to me by the company Max Barbell. They're the ones that do they have like the Salvador shoe. And you can also buy the Hyper V's on their site as well, I believe. And these were sent to me by the owner, Joseph. So shout out to him. I appreciate it. And pretty much the reason they sent me these is because, as you guys know, y'all see all the knee sleeves back here. And you can't see it, but right down below, we got all these different shoes, the different advances and stuff like that. Y'all know your boy's a little bit known for the objective reviews because I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. I'm not getting paid to do any of this. I just like reviewing stuff and helping you guys know what some of your best options are based upon your goals or your budget, whatever, for powerlifting equipment. So we're gonna unbox this. I haven't opened it yet. I took it out of the box that it was packaged up in, but I haven't actually opened this yet because I told the owners, I said, hey, I want to do everything raw, fresh, pause, to kind of just, see what we're working with. So I'm gonna, open it up, and then we'll go through some of the notes that he sent me, just so you guys have some stuff to think about. But my understanding is these shoes, oh wow, these shoes are supposed to be for all 3 lifts. They're like another 3-in-1 shoe. Okay. And this is what it looks like. Let that get clear so you guys can see. Okay. Let's see if that clears up a little bit. Come on now. Focus on the shoe, not me. Focus on the shoe, not me. You guys get the picture. But anyway, this is the bottom, right? And my understanding is, even though Max Barbell is the company like that you'll be able to buy this through for if you live in America or in Europe, the shoe itself is made in Japan because it's made by the brand. It's a collaboration between Oni, the brand Oni. You guys might remember my Oni singlet from years ago, as well as the brand, I believe it's called, let's make sure, I think it's called Jeriki? I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. But that's the brand that it's made by. And here's the notes that Joseph sent me. So it's made in Japan with precision and quality that's only possible with Japanese manufacturing. These are the words from the Hyper-V / Oni. So they have the people who control the brand Hyper-V and Oni. The Hyper-V also is the regular Tabi 1000 shoe, which is what a lot of us use for bench press. You guys know that I use that for bench press. It's Japanese, but the Hyper-V, even though it's Japanese, is usually made in China. This shoe is not aimed at the budget-conscious customer. The market is competitive. It's for competitive powerlifters looking for a shoe with an edge. Oni have the shoes on their website for 33,000 yen, which is about $225, and are recommending about $245 for the international market. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that this shoe is actually made in Japan, not China. So it's versus China would be a lower labor cost. And the production capacity is also far more limited. So even if there's a high demand for these shoes, it's going to be limited to how many shoes can be sold. So they're not sure the final cost landed for the US or Europe just yet, but it's probably going to be around $200 for the Ironhold Pro. And then Jiriki, which is the Hyper-V subsidiary, also have their own version of the shoe that's not dual branded with Oni. And it's basically the same shoe with a slightly different material as far as the forefoot. And that shoe's going to be maybe closer to like 165 to 180 overall. But as far as this shoe, pretty much kind of what you're getting out of it is like, the sole is super thin. They're recommending this for the gym use only. It's not the type of shoe where you need to be like walking around in casually. It's specifically for the gym. And like I said, all in all, it's supposed to be a 3-in-1 shoe. So for bench, squat, and deadlift. As far as the outsole says it's completely flat, which I can see here that it is. So completely flat from toe to heel. So that's different than the Sabado shoe, which is also sold on Max Barbell, because I think that has a slight heel. This one is completely flat from toe to heel. It has the Hyper-V outsole, which is usually pretty thick and a touch squishy, and it's been reduced down to 4 millimeters and let's see, and a densified pattern versus the regular Hyper-V, right? So slightly different patterning than it. And as you guys know, the Hyper-V is known for having the highest kinetic friction force that is lab tested of any indoor gym shoe. Friction is only caused when the shoe has load. As the load approaches 0, there's no friction, so the shoe doesn't grip when there's no load. Those tests were done so that, and so the tests that the tests people do where they have like both shoes and they just push as hard as they can, aren't really going to be the best test, because if there's no load, then there's not going to be as much like friction actually that's created. So that's it for the outsole of it. And then the upper part of the shoe is reinforced rubber is placed around the sole. Even when pressure is applied to the sides, the upper does not stretch, keeping the foot in the ideal position. The forefoot is made with stretchable material, allowing for natural toe flexion and extension. The rear foot area uses Cordura nylon, ensuring that the fabric does not stretch even when tension is applied to the sides. And the inner sole lining is made with special anti-slip fabric, reducing movement of the foot within the shoe. No removable insole for this one, which honestly, looking at it, doesn't look like you would even need to remove the insole anyway. Double straps to prevent the lateral shifting of the foot inside the shoe. And then the toe box is wide and the heel is a little bit tighter. So we're gonna see how everything goes as far as like this shoe overall. I also know as far as sizing, I know with Hyper-Vs, technically most people tend to size down. I think half a size to one size for the Hyper-V shoe. This shoe for me specifically, let's see. I want to double check, make sure as far as the size that was sent to me. This size is a 8.5, and I wear a size 9, so it's about 0.5 smaller. But the owner was saying he wears typically a 9, 9.5, and the 8.5 works perfectly for him. So we'll see how this fits and everything like that. But all in all, basically, my assumptions, we'll see how it actually goes, is that it's probably going to be just as good as the Hyper-V when it comes to bench press. I assume that just because the Hyper-V company is also a part of producing the shoe in collaboration with Oni. So I'd be very surprised if it's not as good as that. And that's the thing, like you guys know when I reviewed the advances, I always said to me it thus far is the best 3-in-1 shoe, but it isn't necessarily the best shoe if you're looking for a specific, like if you're trying to focus on one specific list. Like I still think the Hyper-Vs went out over the advances, for example, for bench specifically, right? And then for me, I squat on the ones because I have a very specific reason as far as like, the stability it gives me, the way it makes my foot feel, and that like a true flat shoe that's like a minimalist like slipper that doesn't have as much support, it just kind of changed my position in the bottom a little bit. So we'll see how this feels in regards to really all 3 lifts. I'll be doing it on all 3 lifts. I'm going to be really looking for how it feels as far as the bench press, like just, testing everything as far as like not slipping at all. We're gonna see how it feels just to squat it in as far as the grip and not losing foot position, and then we'll see how it feels to pull in as well. But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, the shoe itself looks fine. It's a very simple design, which you guys know I'm all about the simplicity. I don't need anything super flashy. And yeah, we're just gonna give it a go and give my honest feedback on it, and we'll go from there. So I'll see you guys at the gym. All right, guys, so just finished squats, and as you can see, I did my top set of squats in the pros, and I did my first back down in the pros, and then I did my second back down set in my ones. And I did that just so I can have a direct comparison for myself for what feels better for what I use. But I'll start with a general overview for the shoe itself and then how it feels in comparison to what I'm used to. So the shoe itself feels great. Like, it's very sturdy, it's very stable. My foot feels very conformed within the shoe. Like, it doesn't feel like my foot's moving around the shoe or anything like that. And that's just due to, like, not only the laces, but the straps. So my foot is very secure. It feels sturdy, like in the sense of it's not like a slipper because it's an actual shoe, and having that rubber support is really, really nice. And then as far as like just feeling completely glued to the floor, absolutely. Mind you, I don't have any issues with that in my ones. I don't ever really feel like I'm sliding or like losing position. As far as when I'm squatting, I'm pretty secure of where I'm at and I root pretty well. But it felt really good, and it actually didn't feel bad on my lower back in terms of how flats outside the ones tend to feel my lower back in the hole, especially with high bar. If I'm gonna feel it, I'm gonna feel it on the high bar. But I didn't really have any issues with that, so I was really happy with it. As far as overall, like if you just squat in flats and flats feel good for you, whether you squat in a slipper or a shoe or advanced whatever, then squatting in this shoe will be totally fine for you. There's no issues with that. As far as how it compares to the ones, even though I didn't feel my back at all from a discomfort standpoint in the pros, I still felt better overall positionally in my ones as far as just the position of staying in my quads, not feeling my back's taking too much of the blunt, just driving through. But once again, that's just me specifically, because keep in mind, when I squat my ones, I keep the insole in there, I don't take it out. It's just very comfortable, very supportive, and it's more elevated because it's, you know, even though it's a flat shoe, with the insole being in there, I'm not as close to the floor as what I am in these, right? So just due to that, for me and my positioning and how I like to squat, the ones still feel better, but that is not a diss on the shoe at all. The same way it wasn't a diss on the advances. I just prefer the squat on the ones. But I feel like for most people, if you just want a nice flat shoe for squatting, this passes the test. Now, We're gonna see how we feel for bench. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna do my first couple sets in the pros, and then I will do a couple sets in the Hyper Vs. I feel like those are gonna feel exactly the same, or the pros are gonna feel better because they're not gonna be as worn out as my Hyper Vs. And since it's by the same company as far as Oni and then the Hyper V company collabing on this, I would be very surprised if these don't feel just as good, if not better, but we'll see. All right, guys, so I'm not gonna lie. So I used these for the first set, used the original Hyper Vs for the second, and immediately switched back to these for sets 3 and 4. This felt so much better to me. And I think it comes down to 2 reasons. As far as grip, it felt very similar. Like, if you look at the bottom though, you can see like, let's see if it'll clear out the space. Y'all wanna, yeah, the space between the ridges, right? You can see that space. Whereas the bottom of this one, there's less overall space between the ridges, right? So that might be helping a little bit in terms of like just the overall feel of stickiness and grip. But I think the biggest thing is that these just feel closer to the ground, like actual flat. I can still feel the floor completely as I drive through. And it's just because the insole of this shoe isn't as thick as the insole of the Hyper Vs. Now, mind you, most people that I know just tear out the insole of the Hyper Vs. With this, it's a non-removable one. And I think technically with the Hyper Vs, it's supposed to be non-removable too. You have to like forcefully cut it out. But with these, I don't think you have to worry about doing that because I feel the floor just fine. And the fact that it's flatter and close to the ground, for me, I prefer that. Some people like to, for example, bench in a heel because they like for their foot to feel more elevated. I prefer for my foot to feel as flat as possible. And that would be my only complaint about the Hyper V compared to like the Advances, is the Advances are flatter and closer to the ground, but the Hyper V just still has better grip. That's why I use them. But this gives me the grip of the Hyper V, but it's just a flatter shoe closer to the floor. So I have no complaints about it. I mean, I'm going to be using this going forward for benching because, like, why would I not? And it's not surprising. It's the same company as as the people who made Hyper Vs, right? They're just collabing on the shoe with Oni, so it doesn't make sense to even expect that it wouldn't feel just as good, if not better. So I'm really happy with that. Now we just got to see how it feels for pulls. All right, guys, so we are back at the crib. Had to get through my accessory work and get in, get out, get home, get some stuff done. But with that being said, the shoe felt great for deadlifts, honestly. Like, my positioning really didn't feel any different in the pros compared to my L runs, which is very rare for me. Typically, if it's not a super minimalist shoe, I will feel the difference in my positioning. But I think part of it is that I can still feel the floor super well. Similar to the bench press, I can still feel the floor really well. I can feel my big toe pressure and root with no issues. Obviously, the shoe itself still feels different in the sense of there's more shoe, right? So I really feel like that's going to come down to preference. If you're somebody where you like pulling in more like a minimalist shoe or a barefoot shoe or like a slipper, then something like the L run is going to be better. But if you like pulling in an actual shoe of some sort, then the Pro is probably going to feel really, really good for you. And honestly, for the overall review, I got to say, man, like, no bias. Like I said, I'm not sponsored by either, but as far as which is the better 3-in-1 shoe, I might have to give it to the Pro, if for no other reason, the fact that I think it's a better bench shoe, right? And the Advances are a great bench shoe. Like I said, if we're not comparing it to the Hyper V, I think the grip on the Advances is amazing, but it never quite edged out the Hyper V, whereas this shoe, is equivalent, if not better, which once again makes sense. It's, you know, a collaboration between Oni and then the brand that creates the Hyper-V shoe. So they have the exact same, you know, process, material, the way they make it, all that. And honestly, I mean, it felt really good for bench press. So I think for that reason alone, it kind of has to edge it out. I think as far as squats, I don't have a huge preference between them and the advances. I did like a little bit more for deadlift, just 'cause I could feel the floor a little bit more, even compared to like the latest advances shoe that was supposed to, like, that's flatter. Like I can still feel the floor better than the pros. But I think the main thing that edges it out is the bench press. But once again, preference. And also, I'm not a sumo puller, right? I think the best way to gauge sumo would be an actual sumo puller would have to try out the shoe. I'm going to assume that if you were someone where you like having a lot of support, like if you're someone where you deadlift in the advances, you probably like deadlifting in these as well. But we just have to have someone who pulls sumo actually try it to give you a true objective answer. Someone who's preferably not sponsored by advances so they won't be biased, right? And like I said, the advances is still a shoe that I would recommend to pretty much anyone. But as far as like, you know, if you're willing to break the bank a little bit, I think this is a really good, high quality shoe. So it felt good. I've got no complaints about it in terms of, oh, I would fix this or do that. I think the shoe as a whole just feels great and works well for all three lifts. Like I said, I'm probably still going to be sticking to the ones for squats, but that is specific to me and the way I like to squat in my position. But yeah, it was a really good shoe. And shout out to Joseph and to Max Barbell for sending it my way. And whenever that is, you know, whenever that's live on their site, you guys can go and check that out. But yeah, other than that, man, you know what? That's pretty much going to be it for this video. I don't really have too much else to show you guys through this week one. It is just a week one. I will say, just based off today, I feel great. Like I said, Friday, because everything was done a day early, I was still feeling a little bit off groove, but then I was able to rest Saturday, then hit Sunday. So now I'm in the usual exposure timing between sessions again. I feel really strong, especially for a week one. So that's really exciting for me. Like I said, we're a little bit less than 3 weeks out. Just got to keep putting this work and get it done. But yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you did. If you're not, leave a comment down below. Let me know what can get better. Like the video, share, subscribe. Keep it simple, specific, scientific. I'll catch you guys later.